welcome to this podcast that we've all decided. I'm Mel.
I'm 80.
I'm Emily.
And we're just going to go ahead and start this podcast. It's just three ladies shooting the shit, talking about shit, because it's interesting and that's why you're listening to us in the entire first place. So I'm going to, 80, tell the listeners a little bit about you.
Hello. So my name is Adriana. I go by 80. My pronouns are she, her. I'm originally from the Palm Springs area and I've lived in the Los Angeles area for 5 years. I'm pansexual and I've got a really great group of friends that we have a lot of fun together, do a lot of cool stuff, have adventure. So I'm glad we're taking this opportunity to talk because, I mean, we're fucking hilarious. Like, we say great shit all the time. Yeah. So glad to be here with y'all.
All right, Em?
Yeah, sometimes unintentionally so. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm from all around. You could call me an around way girl. Jokes! No, from all over. I used to be lonely. Now I'm just lonely living with 2 people and 2 cats. Yeah, we're just here to talk about stuff. Have a little conversation about, whatever tickles our fancy.
Where are you from, Emily?
I mean... Listen, what
we're doing
time
this.
do you
we're
have?
Unpacking. No, we're unpacking this.
I can edit this shit.
Let's unpack this shit. Born in San Antonio, Texas. Went to high school in England. Moved to Virginia. Moved back to Europe. Moved out to LA about a year and a half ago. And yeah, I guess my pronouns are she, her. I'm a bisexual. What other interesting facts do I have?
You have a nice sweater on right now.
I do have a dope-ass sweater on. Like, Coogee sweaters. Hashtag blessed. Yeah. Just living the dream. I'm obsessed with giraffes.
That's true.
Accurate. Can confirm.
Awesome. And I'm Mel. I'm like the weird host person where I love these 2 lovely ladies. They're over at my place all the time. And I was just a little tipsy. I was like, let's just make a fucking podcast right now.
Because why not?
We tend to, talk. And I always, at the end of the day, at the end of the night, I'm like, that was a nice conversation that I feel like other people should hear. Or that was a nice conversation that absolutely no one else should hear. So I was just like, might as well record it. Born and raised Los Angeles and likes to play board games, and went to a brewery called McLeod's, which is where I found a good majority of my friends in the area, and worked for a company where I was luckily able to find Emily and recruit Emily into it. And so I'm really glad that I have these 2 ladies with me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start it off with how you guys feeling today?
Celebratory.
Highest giraffe pussy.
I'm gonna make a NSFW rating on this podcast, but I think we're on a specific day that we're recording this, and 80, why is this day very important to us right now?
Well, first I gotta mention that I'm like uncomfortably aroused by Emily's statement. It's like, when the...
Giggity.
You're just like, it's happening. The blood is rushing. And you're like, I'm not okay with this. I'm not.
But where is it rushing?
Somewhere very high on a giraffe, apparently. But today we have found out that harm reduction has been the rule of the land. Woo! So we're pretty fucking excited. And I think we need to I know all of us have discussed in other avenues the fact that, work is not done. We're not like, okay, great, racism is solved. Sexism is solved. We're done. Let's go back to brunch. I mean, let's go back to brunch. But also...
Yes, please.
We're still going to be in the streets and we're still going to be putting pressure on things. But it's very important to take this day to celebrate and to sort of lick some of the wounds that we've incurred in the last 4 years in particular.
Yeah. Emily, how you feeling?
I mean, listen, it's been 50,000 long nights. and by that I mean 4. I was terrified there for a minute, just because you never know what Trump would do, and it really honestly looked like he might be able to get away with the multitude of illegal things that he has been doing for the past 4 years. Thankfully, the right side of history has prevailed, though we may not agree with the people that are elected 100%. I think that it's a good starting point to really begin the healing process that this country desperately needs on a number of levels, whether it's racial, socioeconomic, the pandemic. I mean, I really appreciated that tonight when President-elect Biden took the stage. He was like, on Monday, I'm starting a task force that will put the Biden-Harris plan into action as of the 20th of June. Or, sorry, January. Please, baby Jesus, not June. January.
Time is a constant.
I know. Listen, what day is it? I'm really excited that finally the United States is cognitively aware that women do things better. So we're starting it with the vice presidency, and that's fine.
I love
but it's gonna be, it's gonna be a tough road, but I am super hopeful that these two individuals really have like solid heads on their shoulders, who are also super willing to reach across party lines and talk to people who aren't like-minded to find some sort of ground that will help the common American people.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's like one of the biggest things is like when I was listening to Kamala Harris talk, I was like, I'm getting a little emotional right here. Like, I really am super down with what I'm hearing. And I think that was like one of the coolest things. So I absolutely agree with both of you guys. I think like taken away from the year of 2020, this is like the biggest, the best thing that could possibly probably happen out of 2020. Literally. Besides this, and I want to ask you guys, like, besides this one positive thing that's gone in 2020, what is like one moment that can be second place in 2020? I think that's something that not very many people are thinking about. I mean, when this podcast comes out, it could be weeks, it could be a month after what today is. So I think that's like one of the things that like I want to fucking start off on. Like, what do you guys think? For like me, I think I got a pug puppy. Like that's my little shining bright annoying fucker in the dark of this kind of thing. And so like just like having Walter there as like now a new thing for me to care for is like my one positive thing coming out of 2020. So I'm gonna start with you, Emily, because I started with 80 last time. I'm giving you less time to like think on your feet. I know it's real hard.
Second place
what's your second place right now in 2020?
Listen, let's, you know what, let's go with, given everything that has happened, I moved into a house with some of our friends, and let me tell you, it's been a shining, glorious moment, to have a yard with an avocado tree.
Yeah, that in itself, that avocado tree, man,
never have to pay for an avocado
Californians,
ever again, right? Avocado toast for days. It's so nice to like be in a house again and like have roomies if you want them there, or you can like sequester yourself. But
because you were living by yourself for when you moved out to LA, right?
Like a year and a half by myself in an apartment, and then I am Lemony Snicket, series of misfortunate events.
We're talking about the top positive things, Emily.
Right, but I'm saying
Flip
that
that shit
it led to this really nice thing of like, now we're in a house and have a big yard, and once everything is set up, we're gonna have a nice socially distanced shindig, and
good.
I'm excited.
All right, 80. What's your number 2 most positive thing?
Wow. All right, put me on the spot. But I think 2020 has had a few, bright moments. I think I'm gonna potentially cheat just ever so slightly and say that there's one thing that has been a little bit of a concept, which is in going. I've had the luxury of doing work from home with the company that I work for. And in doing that, I'm also, I'm not fully in diversity and inclusion, but I am a pride leader for my company. And going virtual has let me meet a lot of people, and I actually volunteered to host a couple of social hours especially to fill in those gaps in the beginning of quarantine when everything was so uncertain and wacky. To say the least. And I met a lot of people from different sites within my company that I would not have met. So far, most of, I met a couple of folks from our international locations prior to this. Most of the ones that I've become really close to are still domestic, but far, and I would have probably never spoken to them otherwise. And now I have especially probably 3 really thorough friendships with them, with some folks that don't work at my side and don't work within the same field that I do, where I know I can lean on them and we have communicated. And I think the way, there's been so much disappointment, but finding that camaraderie in the community, wherever you can find it, has been so uplifting and a reminder of human ingenuity. And I'm this far from being a misanthrope. I fucking hate people. So I think finding that beauty of I love these people, and we have these great moments and laughter, and then solidifying, I think our core friend group has really come together and done socially distant events and found ways to be creative and come together and support one another and have really important moments. Mel and I were able to take a road trip to Utah, and for whatever it's worth, we did everything that we could to be in compliance with being safe.
You did go. Okay, so let me tell you this mini story of Adriana getting fucking T-boned.
Oh my god!
At go-karting. So we did our trip in Utah, and we were off in this thing called Evermore, and across the street was this indoor go-karting location that a few of our other friends went to. And Adriana came back, and she got T-boned, and she's like, oh, just look at this, and pulls down her collar location, and it's just bruised. And she's walking around with a limp for the rest of the night. And how's that going?
It was pretty authentic for the event. I think, it's
yes.
medieval. You're in a fantasy world. People sometimes limp, I'm sure.
For other reasons.
Absolutely. Yes. I was able to take off my corset, so I felt thankful for that. My thigh, I got spun out by somebody who was sort of playing bumper cars rather than go-karting. So I got spun out by that person, and then the person coming behind me, I was in the track, so he T-boned me into one of the divides. That was, it was surprising. It was pretty, I think at the time, your adrenaline run pulses through and takes care of that situation. So I didn't feel it too much, but it was the next day, like you mentioned.
Feeling it, Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, no thank you.
I had a bruise about the size of Texas on my thigh.
Everything is bigger in Texas.
It's true, including broken blood vessels.
And the idiot. Sorry, if anyone that's from Texas.
Me, you jerk.
Oh, that's
me.
True.
Sorry,
we
Emily.
Have our San Antonio.
Yeah, we do have our Texas.
Our world
Fine,
traveler.
it's fine. Yes.
Oh my gosh. But it is. My leg is now almost fully a human color.
Yeah.
Oh,
Very nice.
So I survived that, and I think 2020 has. I wouldn't change it. I don't care. It happened. I survived. We had a fun time on our road trip.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for the moments that we've been able to have despite everything that's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That is such a great response from all three of us, including myself, who asked the question.
Yeah, good job, self.
Why? Thank you, ladies.
Walter has been Walter the pug.
Yeah.
Ismail's little baby child now.
Yes.
And he has been very vital for all of our friend group.
1,000%. Yes.
Our emotional capabilities and
Yeah.
caring for each other rose astronomically.
He's a support dog.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, emotional support dog for most of my friends, anyways.
Yes.
So yeah, that's those were the questions really that I thought up of before I consumed more alcohol.
Also a necessity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a little bit of a celebration, and also I'm really glad that I'm able to have both of you guys, because I think, in the future as we continue, and this is not the end of the podcast, I'm sorry. But I think that the three of us have some great conversations that we have that are going to be coming in the future episodes and future podcasts that I really want you guys to go ahead and like and subscribe as we continue to, continue this conversation, because I think it's such a great opportunity and educational and quirky and fun and dorky and we have
right.
Sometimes NSFW.
Just Emily's comments. Okay. We're just doing it for Emily. But I think it's
doing
something...
it for the gram.
But yeah, we're going to be on all social media once we figure out what the fuck our name is going to be, and we're probably going to say it in the preempt of this podcast before we end up, providing it. But this is, I think from a lot of the podcasts that I've listened to before, it's people on their fucking laptop audio
in the beginning,
being I'm just gonna start a podcast right now. And I've heard so many other podcasts that have done the exact same thing, so I'm why the fuck not now?
Just go for it.
Yeah,
and also we're talking about people being lonely and sequestered, and we've all had various degrees of that. We'll be your friends. We're your friends.
Yes.
You're joining our friend conversation because you're our friend.
Come on,
unless you voted Trump, and then we probably hate you.
You can unlike and unsubscribe.
Listen, we're gonna have a conversation first with you just to decipher on what level of Trumpian you are. Were you accidentally brainwashed?
Emily, they're not listening. They would not be listening.
You're lost because
women voices.
Listen,
no,
women, titties, here's the deal. We have
them, we've touched them.
Yes. We can get
as a majority, I mean, this is an entirely queer run podcast now that I just realized.
But also, if you say you don't like boobs, you're lying. It's just everybody loves boobs.
Everyone
you don't have to be
boobs.
Sexually attracted to them, but everybody loves boobs.
I mean,
they're
pretty great. They're fun bags.
I'm not going to fight against this now new conversation direction. So I'm just going to lean into it like all other...
we lean into boobs.
Yeah! This motorboating son of a bitch.
I think... So for acronyms, when it comes to boobs, what is your favorite acronym or reference when it comes to boobs? There's chesticles, there's titties,
But are we talking about
motorboating?
The male or the female boobs?
I'm talking about you, Emily, and you.
Oh, for my own boobs.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about anyone else in this fucking world right now in this podcast except for you. This is what I'm talking about. What is your default reference or fun bags or whatever because that's something I feel a lot of queer women don't really talk about. I know it's weird, but I like chesticles. I think
That's
it's
a fun
just
one.
I think it's a more fun word to say than to show.
Yes.
If you're with a partner, being look at these chesticles. I feel it could go either way. Yeah, absolutely. But it's one of those things where it's that's a double-handed explanation kind of thing rather than a
Yes.
So I don't care whoever goes first.
man.
You guys can fight for it, or unless you guys think about it, I'll just keep talking.
I mean, I'd like to reference the fact that you have double-handed testicles. But
Yeah.
For those who follow me,
I am of the smaller variety. Mine are small and humble and not mountainous.
It's beautiful.
Mine are handfuls.
Yes, you wear a deep V and it's gorgeous.
Yes, girl.
man, my DV smack people in the face.
That's why.
Yes.
That's why, yeah.
Like
Let's
it's
see.
a slap in the
I mean,
face and a
tits is always a fun one.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you being in Europe, that tits is probably
Tits is like a thing.
Is there like a specific like European
Knockers.
Knocker?
That's
That's
true.
right.
Knockers
heard
is
that
a thing
so
in
long.
Britain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Knockers or
I can't think of any other things besides knockers. Is there any other? If there are any other British terms that we're not thinking of right now, please put in the comments.
Or even like non-Eurocentric slang. Like, I'd really love to know what
Yes.
boobs are called in,
what are the
various
alternative
areas. Breasts.
breasts?
I definitely think as a child, I thought breastises
yes.
was a great
Yeah.
way. Like, I think a little, like, maybe middle school version of me loved running around saying breastises. It's just very satisfying. Those
Yes.
S's at the end.
Yeah.
Breastises. I think I've actually, like, I'm trying to remember, like, when I've been with female partners, like, what I've referred to their chests as. Definitely various sizes. but
I've
definitely not
always
breasts.
been uncomfortable with boobies.
Oh,
Like,
no!
That's like
Yeah.
such an
weird.
uncomfortable thing for
Yeah.
me to
Yeah.
like understand. Like, I don't give a fuck what age you are. Like, even if you're a toddler, like let's review the word options when it comes to what you're getting your nourishment off of.
Boobies is
because
weird.
Not to like derail a conversation because I think boob talking.
I
is
love
important.
derailing conversations.
Yes,
let's
let's
go.
do
But
it.
I was
Where are we
gonna say, I
going?
feel that way about the vagina. I feel like when little kids call it like a no-no or a flower.
Yes.
I never had that.
Like,
I
oh.
never experienced that.
You just call it vagina the whole
It
way
was
through.
a vagina until
Or, like,
I knew
private
what the
parts.
fuck it
Private
was.
parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
private parts.
And ubiquitous, just like
Yeah.
not. I just like call it what it is, like anatomically. I think I
Yeah.
would prefer like anatomically cold, like scientific words for genitalia, whether it's breasts or vag or
Yes.
penis, rather than like cutesy little words because it makes it
Yeah.
so creepy.
I did
What is
hear
the
a really
anatomical name for boobs?
breasts. Yeah,
Just
I
breasts.
think
I did hear a really
or like maybe anatomical would probably be more like mammaries.
Memories.
Yeah, that's true. Your mammary.
I'm all
mammary
about
sacs.
them people's
Mams.
being like, ooh, your memories are
Oh,
hard.
girl, you got memories for days.
What do we have to do in this day
Give
and
me
age
the
of
smelling
culture
salts.
to
I declare.
I do declare. No, but I heard an influencer the other day call her vagina creme de meow meow. I just about lost it because I was like, I'm sorry, a what now? The
I
creme
can
de
only
meow
think
meow.
of it as a slightly moist
I mean, it is
version
moist,
of a meow meow.
But,
'cause
like,
it's creme
I
de
feel
meow
like, yeah.
meow.
but all I'm thinking of at that point is like creme de menthe, and I'm like, but that does not taste like.
Is it creme fraiche?
It might be. I mean, listen, if you've got that going on downstairs, please visit your local GYN
It shouldn't be milky.
immediately.
It shouldn't be milky. There should be no color to it.
No.
Is all I'm saying.
No, the only reason why there should be milky substances coming out is if you've been with your partner and he ejaculated inside of you, or they,
If that's part of their
Yes.
experience with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a milky substance, then they should probably go ahead and
that also, yes.
have that experience.
Yeah.
No.
Creme de
No,
meow
no.
meow.
If I was with a partner and they called that creme de meow meow, I'd be like, I have to go now.
I just have to leave. No,
Yeah.
you don't understand.
It would be a decision. Like, do I do this and then
Yeah.
leave, or do I just?
But like my lady boner
Do I do
is
it?
my lady boner is gone now.
Yeah, it's like, we moved on.
Hi. So to continue on with this conversation, Mel needed to check and see if we were actually recording the audio.
I didn't know.
We're new.
Yeah,
We're new.
we're noobs.
But we talked about creme de meow meow.
We are continuing on our vag-tastic voyage.
Yes.
Yes. And I love the vag-tastic voyage.
But like,
See, that was the statement I was not thinking that I was going to
Listen.
state earlier today.
we also enjoy, the dick-tastic voyages.
Yeah,
too.
dick-tastic voyages are the property of interest for all three of us from
Fair.
Yes.
what we checked. But
Yes.
I'm going to touch on one more
You're gonna touch on
random,
What are you touching on?
semi-soft, semi-hard content to kind of give you guys a little bit of the different shit we'll talk about. And I'll probably be bleeping out a lot of this. We just got to figure out how I'm going to bleep out the word shit. Boop. Yeah, probably.
Dolphin noises like SpongeBob.
But
Yes.
for us three, the biggest thing that we've kind of like all merged together and learned and come together as a group is games.
Oh,
Yes.
And
Yes.
gaming in general. It
Yes.
doesn't matter depending on what kind of game.
Yes.
So the next question that I'm going to be asking you guys is that I brought both of you guys to this brewery called McLeod's Beer in Van Nuys.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this, but what was your first day or couple times that you guys came to McLeod's? Because myself and my significant other hosted a board game night, and we all played board games. So, what was your first experience? Do you remember what beers you guys had? And do you remember what game you guys played? And or if you don't remember what game you guys played, what was the most memorable game that you guys played when you first came into the meetup?
Damn.
Wow.
While you guys think about that, I'm going to talk about how I came to McLeod's and I was able to meet both of you guys, because I feel like most of the reason that I met both of you guys was from McLeod's Ale, and I'm still working for this company, and one of my coworkers was like, hey, do you like beer and board games? I'm like, fuck yeah, I love beer and board games. He's like, come to this brewery on Wednesday nights. And next thing I know, 2 years later, I'm the one that's hosting the beer and board games night. And every good person that I've come across in my life, I've tried to introduce them to it. But I originally started with RPGs, also known as role-playing games. So I started with my other podcast called Loaded Dice Rollers, and playing a game called Pathfinder. So I'm going to go back to whichever one of you is more comfortable to jump in. What is your first memory to McLeod's and or game and or beer?
It was a warm July Wednesday. Mel and I were at a meeting. Mel and I were at a meeting, and we
worked together.
We worked
for the same company,
yes.
And we were at a meeting, and I was like, "Hey, you look cool."
Yeah.
Setting up the scene.
And she was like, "Hey, we were talking about where do you live? Where do you live?" Because I had literally just moved to Los Angeles 5 days earlier. She was like, "Hey, where do you live?" And I was like, "Oh, I live in Van Nuys." She's like, "Oh, do you like beer and board games?" And I was like, I do, yeah. And she's like, "Okay, you should totally come. We're doing a game day tonight." And I was like, I mean, what else am I gonna do except for sit at home and drink some wine and watch Netflix? I need friends. Yes, let's do this. So I made my way over, which was super close to where I used to live, which is
5 blocks.
It was beautiful.
5 to 10 blocks.
I could have stumbled home if I needed to. And let's see. I believe I got backwards in a taxi if it was on tap. Still my favorite beer that they do. So good. And let's see. I don't remember what game. I do remember maybe a time or two in, we played that game with the
my Instagram.
with the penguins, when you flick the penguins into different rooms.
Ice Cool.
Yeah,
right there.
dude, that thing was so great. My fingers hurt
nobody's
business.
Knocked off your nails halfway through.
But it was so fun. Everybody gets into it. Get to this part.
It's pretty much like playing tag with little
weighted
penguins.
Yeah.
And you have to flick them through this like box version of a school kind of feel to it.
Other than that, like I want to say, listen, when I came into this, I thought board games was like, sorry, Monopoly. You know, like the genuine Hasbro, Milton Brothers, like, you know, all those things. No. These are like a la what my brother plays. And I was like, ooh, I'm not this kind of nerd. I'm like the book nerd. But yeah, I'm looking at games right now. I'm trying to like even remotely...
TLDR, me and my partner own over 400 board games.
Yeah.
And we're right now recording in our studio / board game room. So imagine your current wall in your wherever you're living right now is literally just filled with board games.
Yeah.
It's like Belle's library.
Right?
It is.
Yes. I feel like it was maybe the stained glass window game.
Sagrada.
I feel like that might have been the first game that I played.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And you know, in true group fashion, well, first of all, I was immediately indoctrinated into this society. But in true group fashion, as I would later find out, we shut that bar down like we do. Not that we were like wasted. We just play games until they kick us out.
Basically.
Sometimes we were also wasted. It's fine.
I won't tell if you don't tell as long as the podcast is a tell.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was just... Did I answer your question? What was the question?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It was board games and alcohol.
Great, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
80.
Yes. Okay, well, I feel like it's very suiting. I'm glad that Mel went first because I was basically going to insist if you didn't since you have a fucking D20 tattoo
Yeah, that's right.
on your wrist. It's beautiful. But, so I won't take credit for this, but my ex-girlfriend referred to you as, like, basically the Molly Weasley of the group.
I am totally Molly.
So you are a mom. Absolutely.
And I think, yeah, Walter being your baby child is... Oh, Mel's dying now.
That's the biggest honor.
It is, although...
I just finished the Harry Potter series.
Yes. I know Mel's recently become a
you.
very avid reader.
Yeah.
We're very proud of her.
Yes.
A new woman.
Yes. I mean, just adding on to the repertoire of already being the amazing woman you were.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks.
But yeah, and I think that does you a slight discredit just because you were also a, very vivacious and like sexy young person. So while Molly
thanks.
Weasley was already a parent.
Molly Weasley is a snatch.
She was.
too.
Yes.
She is a...
I mean, a gin is a gin is a gin.
Oh, no.
Let me say
Yes.
that.
My hair is currently pink right now.
It's true.
Just
It's
saying.
true. It's very pink. Yeah, so Molly Weasley-esque in the way that you, first of all, you herd sheep all the time, herd
Cats.
kittens, cats, and make sure that we have our shit together and are able to go on adventures. So, very Molly Weasley in that way. But also, I think, like you said, you brought us both in. You saw Emily being somebody that was new to the area and that could really use some camaraderie. And then I had actually, I met you through an association through my ex-wife. And when I was going through my divorce, you invited me in, just like, hey, you need some distraction, you need some new friends, your life is changing, come on down.
That day.
Dude, I definitely remember showing up to your apartment and just
I remember that day.
I remember unloading. I actually had a moment when you were moving from your last apartment to this one, even though, so a little... info for our reader or listeners at home, but you moved basically across the hallway.
Literally, like 3 doors down.
Exactly.
But it's a 2-bedroom, you guys.
Exactly. I know, it's great. It's a great improvement.
Yes.
But I had a little moment when y'all said you were moving. And I was like, but that's the apartment where I met you all. And I definitely had a private moment for that. Just I'm kind of like overly sentimental in a private way.
Yes.
But I
Down the hall, you can just look at it.
I passed behind. I'm like,
She's put a shrine up there.
She
Babe.
changed the blinds, and I was like, you bitch.
I know. You put flowers on there every so often.
Yes.
Just be like, I remember you.
Remembrance
Do
wreath.
you remember? Okay, sorry.
All right, Sam.
You can edit
McLaughlin.
that out.
Yeah.
I'm not.
There are no kittens or puppies that need saving right now. Right now. Maybe later.
Right now.
Right now. Any creme de meow meow that needs saving?
How are you getting back to this? We're trying to talk, ladies.
I'll always bring it back.
All right.
I always got one finger in the creme de meow meow.
That's true.
Yes.
No, definitely. But I think going to McLeod's, it was kind of funny because I remember going for the very first time. It was a little bit of a trek for me because I was living like half an hour or 40 minutes away at the time. And I was a bit nervous, but I'm also kind of a social person, so I didn't really care. And I got there, and I think the first one we played was Illusion. That's the first one I remember. So that's a game where you're sort of guessing the percentages of colors that'll appear on the next cards, and it's a great like introductory game.
Great bar card game.
A warm up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a little bit based on like deducing what's already on the board and a little bit of luck. So I like that because I'm not a big like engine building person personally. So I do remember that, but I think Sagrada is definitely a game that caught my attention, and I think I do love Space Base. I know.
Don't get Mel started about
Mel's
Space
a
Base.
killer on Space
We're
Base.
going to have an episode in the future of Space Bases, and I'm going to bring Billy into it. We're going to talk about Space Base as our guest.
Yes.
Don't worry.
I am excited for that because y'all are killers, like sharks smelling blood in the water.
Yeah.
But I do. I think I had a little bit of a background in board games
Because we
prior.
played board games before.
Yeah, the first time I had ever met you, we played board games. I definitely I remember the last one we played because I was drunk and horrible by that time, and Manny was so upset about how drunk I was. It was definitely like a sort of taboo clue guessing type of game where you have to, not almost like code games.
Oh, is it the
Code
one where
names,
you
sorry,
spin
code
the
names.
thing around?
Wavelength? It wasn't Wavelength.
Wavelength is a new
It was
game.
somewhat similar to that though.
There's a place at your old place.
Yeah. We played that. I don't remember what else, but I frequently played Ticket to Ride. I was actually I had a different game group prior when I first moved to LA that I hung out with that we played games, but I had never played like in such big groups or such a variety of games or in such like a jovial atmosphere. So really, my heart goes out to McLeod's. It's a beautiful place. But
Yes, it is.
I think that's where and I had been playing for probably it was over a year and some change when Emily joined, and I feel like she was a really natural fit. So I'm glad that, we all were able to solidify our ties through there. And I think you're right, like the three of us do end up chit-chatting and
We always end up literally in these exact same spots.
Yes.
Every so often, and I'm like, might as well try and make something out of it.
Exactly.
Let's invite some people in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really exciting for us to be able to have a little bit of a continuous entourage as time goes, to be able to like talk about different things and stuff like that. But I think that's pretty much the biggest wrap up of our first episode.
Yeah.
I think this was good. We talked.
good.
We talked about board games. We talked about boobs. We talked about pussy. We talked about the election. I think that pretty much.
We briefly touched on dicks.
Yeah,
briefly, just the tip.
Just
to see how it feels.
The tip of the dick.
And I really hope that you guys enjoyed listening to us. And I really hope you guys like and subscribe.
Yes, please.
Rate us 5 stars on whatever the fuck you're listening to on it.
Yeah.
I'll figure out something funny to, because I curse a lot, so you guys are gonna hear me bleep out.
We're just gonna find some sound effects.
We'll find a fun sound effect. Actually, you know what? If you guys can comment what you think the sound effect is in the next few episodes, I will absolutely edit and change it in the future episodes for every time that we curse.
Yes.
But tell your friends, tell your family. I think this podcast and these ladies that I have with me are going to go far as the conversation of our climate of culture and, everything.
Friendship experience.
Yes. LGBTQ+. I think this is going to be something that's going to be fun and entertaining in your sitting in traffic or sitting in bed trying to fall asleep to our voices. So
we could do an ASMR.
ASMR.
Yeah, that.
We could do an
Emily's
ASMR.
ready.
We'll figure out
Emily's
something.
a big old piggle eater. She's ready to crunch on something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do hope you join on this journey with us. I mean, we're going to have these conversations, so we might as well invite you in. I love that.
What? Yeah, guys, like and subscribe. You know you want to. Because if you haven't already fallen in love with us, what's wrong with you? But in all seriousness, we're just boatloads of fun. If you don't know us, if you do know us, you already know this. But get excited. You're gonna laugh a little. You're gonna cry a little. You might shart. I don't know.
We're gonna have another episode entirely about sharding.
Yes, but like, just it's a good escape from any sort of tediousness that you might have in your life right now. Just like a nice little relaxation. Get yourself a drink. Get yourself cozy.
Or, reach out to us. We can always lock up something if you want to come and talk with us due to, the climate of COVID currently right now. We can always add you on to a Skype or a Zoom call with us and be able to have a conversation with us. And maybe in the future we can get some visuals going on so you guys can see us shooting the shit. Totally. And yet again, thank you so much for listening to us. We might have social media pages on what we previously said earlier, so go ahead and like us and subscribe us, and we could figure out if you like us, then you'll be able to hear all of our voices.
Yeah, we're not like Drake. We do want new friends.
We do want new friends, and also our voices are very sexy.
Soothing.
Right, ladies?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe. Okay, bye. Meow, meow.